Welcome to the Read Conmigo podcast, where we help you raise bilingual, bicultural, and kind-hearted kids. Get inspired with real-life stories of students, educators, and parents sharing their bilingual journey and how they're making a difference today. I'm Frances Barajas, and I'm your host. You're listening to episode 8 of the Read Conmigo podcast, brought to you by Infinity, a Kemper company. Hi, Read Conmigo family. Welcome to another episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, I am sharing with you another community spotlight series where we're going to be highlighting an organization that's doing great things in the community. So today I'm sitting down with Stephanie Youngblood. She is the program director for Project Spell, and this is one of my favorite organizations ever. If you're not familiar with them, they provide English tutoring for service employees at the UCLA University. So anyone from the custodial, maintenance, or food service units can actually pair up with a UCLA student to receive English tutoring every week, and it's completely free. And what's even more incredible is that this program is completely volunteer-driven. So all of the tutors that are helping the employees are actually students on campus, and they're volunteering their time. I've been so inspired by the work that Project Spell is doing in the community, and I hope that you are encouraged by this episode as well. With that said, here's Stephanie. Today I'm here with Stephanie. Welcome to the show, Stephanie.
Hi, thank you for having me, Frances.
We are so excited to have you on. Stephanie leads the Project Spell program, which we love, and we can't wait to tell you all about it. So to get started, can you tell us a little bit more about what the program is and what Project Spell stands for?
Sure. So the SPELL stands for Students for Progress in Employee Language Learning, and that basically reflects the mission of the program. We have a bunch of undergrad student and graduate student volunteers that work one-on-one with one of our campus service employees to help them improve their English. And the tutors go up, they meet their learners at their workplaces, they go at the times that the learners choose that are convenient for them, and everything is individualized based on each learner's personal and professional language goals.
That's amazing. We first came across Project Spell a couple years ago, and we had the pleasure to work with you and even attend one of the graduations where the employees, finished the program and now they're able to read and write in English. And it's just such a great program. When was it created, and how long has it been running?
So I wasn't here when the program first was started, but I do know that about 10 years ago, there was basically an idea that the original director had wanted to try in order to address the need for the employees and also to create a service opportunities for UCLA students. So they partnered with one department. I believe they had about 7 learners to start, and that was a pilot program. And, in the past 10 years, it's just grown and grown. Now we have 3 departments. We have about 100 learners. So, yeah, definitely a big change from when the program was first created.
That's amazing, and congrats on the growth. And so you mentioned, these are actually UCLA employees that enroll in the program. Is there a fee for them to participate, or how do they know about the program?
There's no fee for them to participate. Everything is provided from, the tutor to all the materials that they use. I have to go up to all their workplaces, and usually the best way to recruit is face-to-face. So I go up to the meetings that they have with the rest of their team every day, and I tell them about the program, and I collect names of people who are interested. And from there, I either follow up with them directly or just kind of depending on their workplace, I go through the manager to determine who I can enroll from that workplace.
And what about the student tutors? Because I know that, you guys do such a great job, but you also need a lot of manpower to be able to run something like this. How do you get the students or the student tutors?
Well, the tutors are really the heart of the program. Without them, we have no program. And so I do a lot of different things to get the tutors because, UCLA is such a huge school and there's so many opportunities for them that it's easy to kind of be this little fish that's lost in the sea, and it can be hard to get info out to them. We do a lot of different ways to recruit, just social media, digital displays, flyers, presentations in class, just a million little things. And I think the best way is word of mouth from friends that are already in the program that say, hey, I am doing this program. I love it. You would love it too. You should apply. Here's the link. Here's how to apply.
That's awesome. And how do you match, Stephanie, the tutors with the employee language learners? Is there a process that you follow for that?
process, I mean, initially I match up all the returning tutors with their same learner, as long as, the schedule works out and everything else. Anytime I have to make a new match, I think about, the personality, the languages they speak, and whether they want a tutor who speaks their same language or not. Looking at the tutors, I try to think of their strengths, their preferences, like do they like to work with people that are beginners? Do they prefer working with somebody who's more advanced? Looking at personality and thinking about, okay, this person is really, really outgoing, and she would be really, really good for this learner who just needs somebody to kind of encourage her. Or, maybe saying, oh, this person's really outgoing and she's totally going to overwhelm this one guy, so I shouldn't put them together. So a lot of it is just my intuition and thinking about what I know about, anybody that applies to tutor and anybody that enrolls as a learner, and just trying to make the best match possible.
And how would you say is the relationship between the tutor and the employee learner? And I'm asking because we a couple of years back, maybe we went to one of the graduations, and it was so, heartwarming just to see the students and the tutors, just, the relationship that they had made. So I'm just curious to hear your perspective.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. It's funny because there are learners that I basically had to twist their arm to get them to enroll, and after 5 minutes they'll text me like, oh my God, my tutor, I love her, I'm going to adopt her, I'm going to bring her food next time I see her, and they just kind of they really form these really special relationships. Sometimes it's like best friends. Sometimes it's kind of like a grandma and a grandchild, or a mother and a son, or like an aunt and a sobrino. But you see that they bond and support each other. I mean, it's the tutor supporting the learner through something that is really scary, incredibly challenging, that requires a lot of bravery to undertake. But it's also the learners supporting the tutors through being a first gen on a campus that is not first gen dominant. A lot of the tutors, they come from families that are really reflected in their learners, and they get to UCLA and, they don't have a lot of guidance and they miss home, and they get this housekeeper working with them that just reminds them so much of their mom or their abuela, and, they bring them food, and they just really give them a lot of caring, that cariño, that support that they may not be getting elsewhere on campus. So you see this really beautiful, very balanced relationship form between them.
Yeah, it's really amazing. I was so touched when they were graduating. It's just to see, they become like family. And I think that's one of the things that I love about the program, besides all the great things that you're doing. Hey, Conmigo family, we want to take a short break to thank our sponsor, Infinity, a Kemper company, for promoting bilingual literacy and helping families save hundreds of dollars on auto insurance. We know the cost of raising a family can add up quickly. That's why Infinity offers 3 standard options to all of our Conmigo podcast listeners. You can customize your coverage to fit your needs, so whether your budget is limited and you need to meet state minimum requirements, or you want the best protection possible, Infinity has you covered. Get your free auto insurance quote online today at reconmigo.org/podcast, or give us a call at 833-265-7024. Again, that is 833-265-7024. Thank you, and now back to our episode. Can you tell us a little bit more about like the background of the employees? I know you mentioned housekeeping. What other roles, are the employee learners?
Yeah, we have employees from 3 different departments. A majority of them are in custodial services, so they're custodians, housekeepers, those types of roles. We also have a ton of employees in food service, so that's just food service workers, cooks, assistant cooks, storekeepers, those types of things that are, done in the dining halls in residential restaurants. And then we also have maintenance staff with, oh my gosh, it ranges so much from groundskeepers, masonry, flooring, HVAC, like just the guys that fix stuff in the dorms, the guys that fix stuff in the dining hall. So any kind of maintenance, those are our big groups. And typically the background of the learners is that they have a primary school education or less in their home country, and so they're really coming in scared to try to learn. They're a little bit older. Maybe they haven't been in school in 30 or 40 years, and they're coming in with like a third grade education. And that's why that relationship they have with the tutor, that kind of trust and willingness to take risks in front of them is so important, because they're generally not people that have huge advantages coming into the program as far as academic background goes.
And how does like a typical lesson look like, or how long is the program? And I know you bring up a great point that a lot of times the employee language learners don't have that formal education background. So how does it work in a typical tutoring session?
Each tutor, they really, it varies by pair, because we have learners that are like, I have never been to school and I would love to learn the alphabet. And then we have learners that have associate's or even bachelor's degrees, but they're like, I got this degree and I feel like my English is good, but I really struggle with pronunciation and everything in between. But I do encourage the tutors to follow a pretty basic lesson structure, which is to present a new topic, break it down for them, to practice it, and then try to produce authentic language. It's like the 3 Ps. So, in the end, the goal is for them to kind of mimic things that they would do in real life. So if they really want to be able to talk to their supervisor about something, they're going to do role plays that mimic that. It might be, practice writing an email that they really actually want to write in real life. It might be making a phone call, but anything that kind of replicates a real life scenario.
And that's huge. That really is, because a lot of times I think that can be not a drawback from the classroom setting, but at times, you feel like maybe what you're learning doesn't apply to your job. And I love that you're doing like really hands-on stuff with the employee learners, and that they can go back to their jobs and really apply what they're learning. I know that we've also worked together with the Conmigo program, and that you use it sometimes with the employees. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. Well, one thing that's so great about using those resources is that is a authentic language learning task. The most direct use of it is those learners that want to go home and read that very same book to their kids or their grandkids, or whoever else. There's a learner who reads as part of, I think it's called Reading to Kids. It's another nonprofit, and I know she was practicing the Conmigo book so she could bring them to that elementary classroom and read to them. But so it's something that they are practicing it to do it in real life. And it's a high, engagement, high motivation task. We know that adult learners struggle with motivation because you feel like you study endlessly, and if you don't see huge results, it starts to get draining and kind of discouraging. And so this is something that there's a high reward for them to keep going with it and keep practicing it.
Definitely.
And it's just a peak motivator for them. And, I think those learners that do get bored or they get frustrated, or maybe they're just kind of tired of going through a book and getting that really direct instruction, it is really motivating for them to just be able to dive right in and figure things out and ask questions as they go. And they have really strong memories forming around the language that they learn there. There's images. They're always going to remember that story that they read to their kid or grandkid, and hopefully they read it to them over and over and over again, and they build some fluency. And, the bilingual aspect of it is just something that gives them that sense of stability and comfort and supports them when they don't have those strong formal academic and literacy type skills.
Yes, I love that you use the books, and that always makes me really happy. How important do you think it's to have resources like Infinity's Conmigo program and Project Spell? Because I don't know that many universities that are doing what you're doing, to have these resources in the community.
Well, this population is nationwide, one of the most underserved populations. It just tends to be overlooked when there's budget cuts. It tends to be something that gets cut quickly. And I think in education, people tend to focus on children. And so, it's not intentional, but it's just one of those things where there's probably a million more volunteer opportunities working with kids and with adults. And this is a group that traditional approaches are not always successful with them. So you really need to have solutions that approach that challenge from a different mindset. And so, we can't keep trying to force English learners into classes that maybe don't fit with their work schedule. We can't keep trying to kind of force people to keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. And so when you have a resource that's kind of brilliant in its simplicity, because you're just providing a resource, you're just providing an opportunity, and you're letting that learner, that child, that family, make what they want out of it. And it just develops organically. When we use the Read Conmigo books in tutoring, there's a love for reading that develops organically. They're just so excited that they're going to be able to read something to their kids, especially because, we have many learners whose grandchildren do not speak Spanish and only speak English. And so for them to be able to connect with them through English in some way, you see that they are developing this love for reading, for the language, and they're doing it hand in hand with their family, with their kids and their grandkids. And so you see this ripple effect when SPEL and Read Conmigo partner up, because we have this really true, amazing family literacy skill developing, starting with, grandparent bonding with a grandkid over story time. And it just comes from a super simple solution. And, for us, Read Conmigo provides the books, the resources, and then we provide the tutoring, and paired up, it leads to this really, really impactful result.
And that is our goal with the program, and we love hearing stories like that, because that just makes our job feel rewarding for what we're doing, and to know that we're actually making a difference. So thank you so much for sharing that. Hey, Read Conmigo family, thank you for listening to this episode of the Read Conmigo podcast. We're going to take a quick break, but we will be right back after this message from our sponsor.
Somos de Cuba.
We've been here since 1961.
De Bogotá, Miami, in 2002.
Abuela and Abuela were our age when they came here.
We've all traveled different roads to get here, but we never forget the day we arrived in America. At Infinity Auto Insurance, we believe that when you're proud of where you come from, you're confident of the road ahead. We want to be part of your journey from generation to generation. Infinity, the journey is yours.
Thanks again to Infinity for sponsoring this podcast. If you would like to save on your auto insurance, please call Infinity at 833-265-7024. That's 833-265-7034. Thanks to our sponsor for that message. Now let's go back to Stephanie. And I'm really curious, how did you get involved in Project SPEL? I know that the program was already, in place when you came in. And then what are some of the inspiring stories that we've heard from, your time there from the employee learners?
Well, I got involved in 2014. I actually just applied online. The position was open. The then current program director was, moving cross country. And I just went in. I had a couple of really, really stressful, scary interviews that I was so nervous for, because I really, really wanted this job. And then I got started. I just had to dive in head first, because there's a lot about this position that you can't put in a guidebook or something. But getting to know the learners and the tutors has been, the biggest motivator for me. I can tell you so many inspiring stories from them, because they do so much and they just maintain these amazing, positive, appreciative attitudes. But we have one learner this year who always comes to the front of my mind. We have a learner who is legally deaf, but we enrolled him. He wanted to learn to read and write better, but he was hesitant. I don't think he really trusted me that I was going to get him a tutor that knows ASL, that knows American Sign Language. And I promised him that I would, so he gave in and he enrolled. And then I spent a lot of stressful weeks trying to find him this tutor that knows ASL. You would think on this huge campus it would not be that hard, but for some reason it was. But I found someone, and, the first day that they met, it was really a memorable moment for me, because I saw him just completely change, the look on his face and his demeanor. He just lit up when he was able to communicate with someone for the first time in that way at work.
That's amazing.
And I just wanted to cry in a way when I saw it, because it was a reminder of how, I think our service employees, they can already feel a bit invisible. And, you add to that someone who can only use sign language to communicate, and that limits even more the pool of people who are going to be able to communicate with them. And, to be able to see, this person feel more included and seen, it was a really special moment and lesson for me.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful, beautiful story. And you have so many. I know you told me about some of the tutors, that do their citizenship test, and so many other stories.
Yes, we had one learner who passed her citizenship last year, and I remember getting the text and I was also crying because I was just so happy for her. And the tutor and I, we went down to the LA Convention Center for her oath, and then we took her to Denny's afterwards for breakfast, and she was like a little girl. I mean, you could just tell that this whole experience was great, but having people there to support her and celebrate her and recognize her and say, hey, you deserve this time to be proud of yourself and to feel that. That really meant a lot to her. And anytime it's a culmination of that much hard work and you get to celebrate it, it's always hugely inspiring. And we have a lot of moments like that. They're not always recognized with a certificate, but, there's a lot of moments that are the result of a lot of hard work and pushing through a lot of fears. And so that's why, we have a graduation coming up in a few weeks, and that's what that's all about, is just recognizing them, celebrating them, and acknowledging how important they are, to the campus and to all of us.
Well, thank you for the work that you do. I mean, I think it's so needed. And I love that you're focusing on a target, like you mentioned, a group that maybe is not, it's overlooked by all the other resources on campus. And they're a big backbone of the campus because they pretty much help run everything, at UCLA. So I since the moment we encountered this program, we just loved it. What you do and just meeting the actual employee learners and the tutors, it was great for me. How can we support you? Where can we follow you if people are listening and they want to learn more or meet, follow the stories of the employee language learners? Where can they find you?
So, of course, we're on social media, on Instagram and on Facebook. It's at UCLA Project Spell. And you can also sign up to receive our newsletter if you visit alumni.ucla.edu/projectspell. So if we have any campaigns we're running, if we have updates about the learners, any media or news features, anything like that, that's where that will be posted.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time, Stephanie. I know you're really busy running this program all on your own. But I appreciate you coming on and just sharing the good work that you're doing and helping, bring more positivity to the world. That's what we do with the podcast. We like to feature organizations that are doing great things. And you're definitely, Project Spell is definitely one of them.
Thank you.
Okay, so on the next episode, we'll be featuring another organization. So stay tuned. Thank you for listening to the Read Conmigo podcast. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode and found it helpful. For the show notes or additional episodes, visit readconmigo.org/podcast. Be sure to take a screenshot of the episode, share it on social media, and mention @ReadConmigo for a chance to win bilingual books. We're selecting 5 people every week. We would also greatly appreciate it if you could leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. And lastly, thank you to Infinity A Kemper Company for sponsoring our podcast. Call Infinity at 833-265-7024. That is 833-265-7024 to start saving on your auto insurance today. Gracias y hasta pronto.